Racism, climate change, Donald Trump, and gun violence. Many believe these are the biggest problems facing our generation. But the biggest problem is lack in the embodiment of true self-reliance. There is said to be a dependency dilemma among middle-class American families, not only in our generation, but in millennials as well. This lack of dependency includes being less able to do things and make decisions by ourselves without the help or approval of others. Most people think that having an ample amount of guidance will turn kids into desirable human beings. Parents and mentors give guidance with hopes that it will correct their child's attitude to appropriate behaviors. They also give endlessly because they want to see their children happy and prosperous. Guidance is a very important aspect in every person's growth. However, there needs to be a line drawn between effective guidance and full-out solving a problem for someone. Daniel Greenberg stated in a presentation to Sudbury Valley School community members, "It is really important to distinguish between guiding and restricting. These ideas are two polar opposites. The point of guiding is to take you someplace that you want to go. Restrictions place obstacles in your path. A person who places obstacles in your path is not serving the purpose when you ask for a guide. In fact, if you're forced to accept a guide, you're still being guided, but you're being restricted." We are growing up in a culture where our parents, grandparents, teachers, and people so important in our lives are relentlessly giving and kind so as not to see us struggle or even worse fail. This type of protection and sheltering is creating an unrealistic expectation of our generation that life is always fair and equitable. Unfortunately, as we get older and encounter true trials and tribulations that all in life endure, our coping mechanisms are not as well developed as they could be, leading to major disappointment, anxiety, and even depression. When we receive more than desirable assistance from outside sources, we are voluntarily walking into a life with limited depth of inner strength, self-worth, and development of identity. You might be thinking of a different picture of self-reliance. What about people who just graduated from college and have not yet made enough money to pay off their loans or live on their own? Or what about the people who have dreams to go to college but can't afford it on their own? According to MarketWatch.com, over 40 million borrowers collectively owe $1.5 trillion in student debt. This is up from 600 million a decade ago. 1 in 6 of these borrowers has debt greater than his or her annual income, and the average borrower owes about $30,000 upon graduation. So living with your parents longer or having them fund your expenses is financially imperative and will benefit you in the long run, right? Well, maybe not. MarketWatch stated that Christine Russell, a senior manager of retirement and annuities at TD Ameritrade, said there is a possibility of giving kids too much money. "Are you borrowing from your parents to fund a lifestyle you haven't earned yet?" she asked. Consider that question for a moment. According to Maryland Population Research Center, the percentage of adults aged 25 to 44 who shared a home with their parents dropped from 12% in 1960 to 9% in 1980, then nearly doubled to 17% by 2010. In both 1960 and 2010, parents and adult children who lived together did so primarily for financial reasons, but the 2 years represent totally different trends. In 1960, adult children who lived with their parents were generally employed and paid the lion's share of expenses for their impoverished parents. By 2010, the trend had reversed, with unemployed or underemployed adult children relying on their parents to keep them financially afloat. Adult children who rely on some form of financial support from their parents lack many basic skills of an independent life. When they don't have to work for their earnings, they don't know how to live frugally, budget their income, and might not even know how to cook or clean. These circumstances are different for all people, but these basic skills are essential that much of the younger generations lack because their mentors do these things for them. Most importantly, people value what they pay for. When one's college, housing, or other expenses are paid for by someone else, that person didn't have to put in the hard work to pay for them, and therefore won't appreciate those things as they would if they had paid for them. When we are pushed out of the nest and set forth to fend for ourselves, we realize what benefits lie ahead. When a person grows up in an environment that fosters self-reliance, development of identity, and depth of character by being encouraged to persist through unpleasant situations and overcome adversity, they will have no fear when it comes to filing a tax return, budgeting, or making big life decisions. Parents and loved ones' jobs are to coach rather than to solve, which will foster the identity and inner well-being of younger generations, translating to healthier adult coping. The biggest problem facing our generation is the lack of self-reliance. To be successful adults, this is something we must change, but it isn't solely dependent on us. Our parents play an important role and need to take their part too. They need to step back when they want to solve our problems. When you don't have enough money to go out or to buy a new car, yet you still display an attitude of self-worth and don't expect your parents or mentors to solve the problem for you, you have shown a true independent and strong-willed attitude that will take you very far in life. I challenge you all to solve the biggest problem facing our generation. Strive to be a role model to your friends, classmates, or colleagues, to stand tall and be true to yourself, even in the face of disappointment and hardship, for a happier and healthier life. When you can turn to your mentors for guidance, try to take a step back and figure out the problem on your own. I promise you, you will value the outcomes much more. Many think gun violence and climate change are the biggest problem facing our generation, but without the life skills that come with being self-reliant, we will never be able to have the skills it takes to tackle such complex problems, such as those. Self-reliance must be addressed first. And although it may seem reasonable accepting guidance and possessions and money, resilience and mental toughness are learned through the ups and downs of life, which is why it is imperative that we are able to experience them. Thank you.